March, Governor J.B. Pritzker's name has been floated as a possible running mate for Kamala Harris, but today in an appearance on MSNBC's Morning Joe, he tamped down that speculation.
Have you received any vetting materials from her campaign about possibly being her running mate?
No.
And if you do, would you be interested in the job?
Look, I love being the governor of the state of Illinois, and I've been out on the campaign trail fighting hard for Democrats. I'm going to continue to do that, and I'm very interested in making sure that Kamala Harris becomes the next president of the United States.
Several other Democrats who are being considered possibly for VP pick include.
Okay, guys, we got to talk about this one. What's up, everybody? It is I, Carlton Flowers, of the Go Political channel. And we need to discuss this and talk about this in the comment section, okay? Because, see, this is how politics works. It works in a very weird and convoluted way. So, apparently, as you just saw in the video, this guy right here, Governor Pretzel, Mr. Pretzel, is being considered as a vice presidential candidate pick for the new frontrunner, Kamala Harris. Now, he says he's not thinking about it and he's just, focusing on running for governor again. I don't believe that. I think he's telling a big, fat lie. I really do. But what do you think? Do you think he's lying or is he telling the truth? Well, now forget that. Let's set that aside. All right, Democrats. My good fellow Democrats. I would like to bring up a very important point to you tonight. You're talking about the state of the Democratic Party. And I would like to ask you this evening to please connect the DOTTS. That's right. I want you to connect the dots as we look at the background of this individual and his connection to somebody who is in a high political office who's replacing my guy that was running for the president of the United States to be reelected once again for another 4 years. All right. Roll back the clock and look back at my video that I did. I'm going to post it in the link in the description. I'll post a link in the description, rather, so you can see it, because this video that I posted didn't get a whole lot of views. As a matter of fact, let me just look on my phone, and I'm going to tell you how many views that it got, because it wasn't a club banger video. It didn't get a lot of attention, but the video was about your lovely governor of Illinois, Governor J.D. Hogg, Pritzker. Pretzel. I'll just call him Governor Pretzel. J.D. Hogg Pretzel. All right, brother J.D. was in the news. What was it, May? Let me just scroll back and see if I can find the video. When he was interviewed asking about what was going on. There it is. I found it. It was 1 month ago. And the title of the video was, and I quote, Governor Pritzker caught lying about the Dolton situation, full forensic speech analysis. Now, I'm going to probably bet you that most of y'all watching this video right now didn't see that video. It didn't get a lot of attention because it didn't have Miss Clickbait in the title. Whenever I don't put Miss Clickbait in the title, the videos don't get a lot of views. So that's why I put her name in this title, so I can get a little bit of that Tiffany Henyard, mud wallering hen, clickbait action. All right, back to the point. In that video that I made about J.D. Hogg Pritzker, no offense, I don't mean to offend the people of Illinois, of my home state. Remember now, I was born in Chicago. I still have family in Chicago. The south side of Chicago is near and dear to my heart. The south side of Chicago, the black people of South Chicago, I'm very proud of, because they are breaking out of the grip of the ring of corruption that has its grip on the Chicago metropolitan area, specifically Dolton and Thornton Township, because I do a lot of reporting on the corruption, and more videos to come. I'm going to break another story about some of the corruption that is going on. But at any rate, we've been talking about the chain of command that does not seem to be hard pressed to bring the situation to a close with the what are we going to call it? With the reign of terror and destruction of Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Now, there are a lot of people who support Mayor Tiffany Henyard, and that's okay. You have a right to. And I do understand that she is clickbait, and the world is watching. Congratulations, Tiffany Henyard. You have caught the eyeballs and the ears of the entire world. The world is watching you folks in Dolton and Thornton Township. But it's not for good reasons. It's not because Tiffany Henyard is a social media reality show star. It's because she's a social media villain. All right? It's not for good reasons. But the whole world is watching. And although you have grabbed the attention, the eyeballs of the world, what you guys decide for your future and what you want for your leadership is your business, and it's not ours. It's not up to me or anybody else that does not reside in Dolton or the Thornton Township to tell you how you need to vote. All right? Even though we're all disgusted and we just watch the news like, oh my God, what is she doing now? Like we sit and stare in disbelief at some of the things that are going on, especially these recent events that I will be covering, like Mayor Tiffany Henyard going after that poor school board district where she tried to force that school to allow her to have her July 4th party. And they said no. Okay. But I digress. My point is, regardless of what I think, and regardless of how disgusted the world is and shocked at the behavior of, that was my phone ringing, sorry about that. Regardless of the behavior of the reigning queen, the first black woman, young female queen, ruler, dictator of Dolton, regardless of what we think, it's none of our business. And we can't tell you how to vote. You might be happy with the way things are going. You might be happy with working hard for a living and paying taxes and handing over your money to the mayor and her regime while she runs you into the grave with a deficit that is probably going to set some records. You might be happy with that as long as you're getting free chitlins. All right, I shouldn't have said that. But apparently there is a high percentage of people that enjoy free vegetables and free rides to the doctor and help with y'all light bill and y'all electric bill, and we pay y'all water bill. But in all seriousness, some people, they want that, and they don't care that they're paying the highest taxes practically in the nation. But you're getting free vegetables, okay? So it's a good deal for some people. So for those of you who support your mayor, I'm not one to criticize, and I'm not one to tell you how you should vote. It's none of my business. It's your business. It's your village. It's your township. But anyway, back to connecting the dots. Let me get back to the overall point, because we're talking about this guy right here. In that previous video that I did, I was talking about the interview that the governor did, and I posed a question. Did we catch Governor J.D. Hogg Pritzker lying about the Dolton situation? You need to go back and watch that video right now so you'll know what I'm talking about. In my opinion, he was telling a bald-faced lie, and he was downplaying the situation and acting like, oh, well, we don't want to step on any toes, and the FBI, they've got some fantastic people. We know that they're on top of this. They're taking care of it. We don't want to muddle the situation. I'm just the governor of the state. I don't want to muddle the situation. Meanwhile, the FBI investigation is dragging on, while Tiffany Henyard continues to destroy the financial situation in Dolton and Thornton Township, as we see some of her new hooligans and her new henchmen who, wow, you talk about new lows. And I'm going to do a video on it where we talk about the new Thief Freeman replacement, even though he's not officially replaced. But she has a new thug who doesn't even find it necessary to use decorum and speak as a civilized, educated human being. He likes to yell, point fingers, and curse and use foul language in the Thornton Township meetings. And I wonder if you're going to start to see him more and more, even though he comes to the Dolton meetings. I wonder if we're going to see him in some type of an official role. More on that later. That's a whole nother story. So the FBI is dragging on with the investigation. And we were thinking last February that Tiffany would be in jail within a matter of a month or two. We thought that when the AG finally laid down the law and said, you will submit your paperwork for the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation, only to see that the deadline date came and passed and there was no punishment. So I did a video about that. And then during this video, I talked about how the governor, how the attorney general, how the county officials are just allowing this situation to drag on. Now, while I do say that it's none of my business, and no offense to the people who are Tiffany Henyard supporters, it's your right to have whoever you want as mayor who can do whatever she wants to do. And if you're happy with having a person that believes in communism, that is the community being run as a whole where there isn't any private ownership, the government tells you everything and what to do. What she's doing is similar to communism. We'll take you to the doctor and bring you back home. We will provide your free groceries and your free produce and vegetables. We will pay your water bill and your electric bill and your utilities. We will put a new roof on your house and put the new windows in and fix your sidewalks and trim your trees and cut your grass. Oh my God, cutting the grass. I don't think I have ever seen a municipality in the United States that gets involved in cutting people's grass and thinking that it's the responsibility of the municipality to cut people's grass. Here in Jefferson City, when you don't cut your grass, you get a ticket. First, they post a sign in your yard and give you a warning. And then if you don't cut the grass in a week, you get a fat $500 fine. If you live in Dolton, well, they depend on the government to cut your lawn. It's the responsibility of the mayor to cut your lawn. That's one of those free benefits, right? But this doesn't happen anywhere else that I know of. Okay, so reeling back to last spring, we all thought that Tiffany Henyard was going to be arrested by now. I remember thinking that the May village meeting, the first Monday of the month, was going to be the last one, that the show was going to be over and we would have to find a new clickbait person to do videos on because she would be arrested and that would be the end of the saga. Well, here we are nearing the August meeting. It's the end of July. It's July the 23rd, and she's still in power, still doing the same thing. And even though we have had subpoenas served, subpoenas from the FBI, the Northern District of Illinois, she's still doing the same stuff and doubling down. She's doing more. It's interesting. And that's why I kind of changed gears and thought, well, she's probably going to make it to the election, and there's a chance that she gets reelected because she's doing things that a certain percentage of the population really enjoys. And I'll do a video on that and show you some clips of something that she did that will cause people to vote for her. In the last video I did, I talked about chitlins, turkey tails, and gas. That those three things are enough for people to vote for her again in a re-election. So there's no guarantee that this investigation will even come to a close because we don't have any indictments. All we have is subpoenas. She hasn't sat in court yet. I think there was the one court date where it was centered around one of the subpoenas, I think, or maybe it was lawsuits. I don't know. I can't remember. She's been in court once, but we have not gotten to the point where the subpoenas have moved forward into indictments. The only indictment we have is Thief Freeman and the bankruptcy fraud indictment, which is not directly related to the business dealings of Dolton and Thornton Township. That was just Thief Freeman and his own personal dirty deeds that he has done. So back to the pretzel video. JD Hogg pretzel there. In that video, he downplayed everything and he made it clear that he's staying out of it. And I thought it was pretty disgusting. Now, there's a lot of people who are against the mayor. We talked about those who are for. Now let's talk about those who are against. There are several members that are in the leadership of the village of Dolton, elected officials, in particular 4 trustees that are dead set against Mayor Tiffany Henyard and fighting her tooth and nail every single month. There are several residents who speak at each meeting, and they make it loud and clear that they are disgusted and sick and tired of the nonsense, of the reckless spending, of the no-bid contracts, forcing these contracts through the system, and we know why, without getting prior approval from the trustees. There are several residents who are tired and they're fed up and they want to vote her out. We already saw that 53% of people who showed up for the recall voted her out. And of course, because of attorneys and connections, the Delgados found a technicality and got that thrown out. So all this to say, this guy right here, I think, is sweeping everything under the rug. He wants nothing to do with it, and he's allowing it to happen, along with all of the others in the Democratic Party that are in positions of power that they could get involved, and they choose not to get involved. So this begs the question, how do you feel about the discussions that this guy is possibly going to be your vice presidential pick candidate for Kamala Harris? How do you feel about that? And what does that say about Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party? Now, you've heard me talk many times that these Democrats that we have of today ain't your mama's and your daddy's Democrats of yesterday. They're not. So don't get all offended. Please don't get offended, because I'm not slamming Democrats. We need Democrats. I've often said that the black community needs an equal amount of Democrats, Republicans, and independents. Instead of being 90% aligned to the Democratic Party where we get taken advantage of, we need more black Republicans. We need more black independents. But it doesn't mean we need all black people to desert the Democratic Party. We need Democrats. We need black Democrats. It keeps things balanced. And when we have a good mix of political parties and independents within our black community and within the United States as a whole, we have checks and balances. Nobody can just run with the party in control and do whatever they want without being checked. Much in the same way that the Chicagoland area is just going bananas, allowing all of the corruption and craziness to continue, specifically with what we're seeing in Dolton. Now, The question I have for you is, does this change your view of considering Kamala Harris for the office of the President of the United States if you are a Democrat? I want to know your honest opinion. Are you salty or upset with the fact that the man that you voted for, Joe Biden, got strong-armed and forced out? I'll do another video on that because he was forced out. It wasn't his decision. I'm convinced of it, and I have the evidence to support that opinion, to support my findings. He got forced out. So in the Democratic Party, it's not a democratic process. The strong arms forced him out and they put in who they wanted. But there's a twist. Kamala Harris is not the one that our most popular president of the Democratic Party, Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Obama is not a fan of Kamala Harris. And I have evidence to support that statement. Also, I'm not just pulling that out of my rear end, guys. Barack Obama is not a fan. His man was Joe Biden. It was not Kamala Harris. There are others within the Democratic Party that are not falling in line with pushing out Joe Biden. All right, we're going to keep that for another video for another day. But back to this as it relates to J.D. Hogg Pritzker. What are your thoughts? Are you happy with the corruption that is allowed to run rampant in the state of Illinois? Are you happy that J.D. Hogg Pritzker here just sits back and says, oh, I don't want to step on any toes and get involved in this, while the financial destruction continues in Dolton and the Thornton Township? Are you satisfied with that? Now, I know the answer from many of the residents, some of which I have even spoken to, is going to be no. I also know that some of the residents and people who are against Tiffany Henyard still cling to the Democratic Party. I've even expressed my opinion to my man Ed Steve, who is a Democrat, and I talked to him on occasion, and I told Ed Steve, I said, Ed, knowing how much corruption is going on in the Democratic Party, don't you think you should pull out and be an independent? Don't you think it's time for us to spread it out a little bit? And I know some people say, well, there's corruption in all parties. Well, yeah, but what party is in control in Chicago and Illinois right now? It ain't the Republicans. What party is behind allowing the nonsense to go on in Dolton? It ain't the Republicans. I even suggested that if the trustees or residents would reach across the aisle, reach out to the Republicans, you might find somebody that might empower you and try to bring the situation to a close. It doesn't mean you got to become a Republican, but try to work with these people. Try to reach out over and beyond the ones like this who aren't going to do anything about the situation and who have made it hideously clear that they won't get involved. Step outside of your attorney general in your Democratic Party who has allowed the mayor to go far and beyond the deadline for complying with his demand. Step outside of these people. Reach out to the Republicans. Reach out to the independents. Reach out to the politically agnostic. Get away from the Democratic Party, because we know that the corruption ring is very strong in the state of Illinois and Chicago and the Democratic Party. That's fact, guys. We can't get beyond that. So I just wanted to make that point. Go back and watch that other video that I did, the previous video on Governor Pritzker, J.D. Hogg Pretzel. Just go back and watch the video. You know what I mean? And then come back and answer these questions and let me know what you think. And I'll respect that. If you say, hey, I'm still in support of Tiffany Henyard and I think she's done great things for the community and she's done things that no mayor has ever done before, well, state that. Post it in the comments. And, you know, I'll have to respect that because I'm not a Dolton resident. It's none of my business if you want that particular person to continue in the office of the mayor. Or maybe you're against the mayor, but you are steadfast, a member of the Democratic Party. You're steadfast in support of Kamala Harris. Post it in the comments. I respect that, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I tell you what, if I had to flip a coin, if I had to pick between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, it's going to be Kamala Harris. I'm not for either one of them, though. Don't get it twisted. I don't like what Kamala Harris did to the black community in the state of California. I think that she did more harm to the black community than what you might realize. And I don't think that Kamala Harris, as being the border czar, did much for the black community in allowing the illegal aliens to have so much money and so much help. We're talking free food, free boarding, free rent, free transportation, jobs. You could even become a police officer in Chicago and be an illegal alien who didn't go through the process of becoming a citizen legally, which takes normally about 10 years to do. Okay? So I am like the black community in Southside Chicago that is coming up against the Democrats because of the immigration crisis, while they watch their communities pushed to the side, their priorities pushed to the side, their resources taken, snatched away from them and given to the illegals. I watched them protest against Mayor Brandon Johnson. Okay? And that really hits close to home because I feel for them. Okay? These are the people that live in my old neighborhood. I lived at 99th and South LaSalle, and the people, the black community of the South Side of Chicago, has made their voices clear that they're tired of it. They are breaking away from the corruption party. And even though they're not saying, okay, we're all about Donald Trump or the Republicans, they're saying we're going to paint the town red. And we're going to show you how much we appreciate you giving away all of our resources and spending millions, over like $200 million, while at the same time, whenever the black community asks for money, for improvements, for parks, for resources, for more money to be spent on boys and girls clubs, it's always, we don't have that in the budget. And then they turn right around, and the recent bill that they passed authorized the spending of another $90 million on the immigrants. So sad. Well, I stand with them, with the black community who is tired of it, who's tired of being cast to the side, who's tired of watching hundreds of millions of dollars being poured into these folks that are coming across the border illegally, who are not naturalized, who aren't getting green cards, who are here illegally. They're tired of watching them get the hundreds of millions of dollars while we sit and suffer. They're tired of that. So I stand with them. And it's because of that, I'm going to issue you a warning. You've already seen what this guy, what his attitude is towards the events and the happenings and the illegal activity and the corruption in Dolton and Thornton Township. You sat there and watched him back way off. He doesn't want to get involved and step on any toes. So what do you think is going to happen if he is picked as vice president? What do you think that Kamala Harris is going to do for you in South Chicago if this guy who's already said, I want nothing to do with your problems, Dolton? What do you think that is going to happen in your future? How much money do you think the federal government will spend on black communities after what we saw happen to Southside Chicago, Chicago as a whole, and even across the United States, after we've seen billions and billions of dollars being poured into immigrants that don't come here legally? I hope people don't get mad, don't get upset. Again, I'm not bashing Democrats. I voted Democrat many times. I have many Democrats in my family. I respect Democrats who respect the law. I respect Democrats who put American citizens first. I respect Democrats who want to see communities like the black community, the Hispanic community, those who are in poverty and in crisis, to be helped and given assistance so that we can become the economic force that we really already are, but to empower us to be able to break some of the, what would we say, It's a generational curse almost. To break the curse of the destruction of the family, to break the curse of violence and crime, to break the curse of crumbling schools. That's what I want. I want to see our St. Louis public school system, which is in utter shambles. I want to see the federal government come and spend money on St. Louis public schools where our black students are in high population. I want to see the federal government step into Chicago public schools where there are many black students that don't get the resources that the suburbs get. If they could only get a fraction of what is given to the illegal immigrants, oh my gosh, it would make a night and day difference for those kids in those schools who don't get those resources. So that could come from Democrats or Republicans. I respect Democrats who respect the citizens and put America first and put the taxpayers first and help us to get a leg up. All right? I respect that. Now, I don't need any government to help me because I believe in pulling myself up by the bootstraps, and I'm fine. I figured it out on my own. I don't wait on the government to solve any problems for me. I don't have patience for that. I do it on my own. And there's going to be some videos that I'm going to do that I'm going to talk about that. But we'll just leave that right there for now, as my good friend, I can't think of his name because I'm thinking of it. We'll just leave that right there for now. But I would love it if you would like, comment, and subscribe to the Gold Political channel. If you like this content, you may help support the channel with the giving of a super thanks, or buy me a cup of coffee, or even send a donation to my Cash App handle. It is Gadget Gurus. It is in the description. And I thank you in advance. Can't wait to hear your reaction to this. Got a lot more content coming your way, as promised, because I'm back from vacation, been on the beach, having a good old time. So get to posting, people. Live stream coming very soon, either Thursday night or Friday night. I'm going live. I've got some presentations that I want to do live so I can get your reactions right away. Until then, this is Carlton, and I am out.